Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Marcus Aurelius, and this is something a little different. This is not a Let's Play video, but rather, I felt it'd be kind of neat to share my process when I put together these skits for Dominions 4 and how I do them. Now, I will be the first to say that I am not any kind of trained artist. In fact, I have no artistic talent whatsoever, and most of everything I learned is just through trial and error, looking for web tutorials and stuff like that. But the program I use is GIMP, primarily because it's free. It's kind of a Photoshop alternative, and I, again, having no artistic talent, do not feel really comfortable dropping $300 or whatever Photoshop is on a graphics software suite that I would not even know how to use. So I picked up GIMP a long time ago, primarily to it was necessary to make the 3D maps of Dwarf Fortress worlds that looked really nice, and I've over time learned a couple things. I'm sure actual talented artists like Daz, or maybe many of you who are watching this, know a lot more than I do and could do what I'm trying to do a lot easier and better. And if that's the case, by all means, please shoot a comment or shoot me an email and let me know, because I'd always love the opportunity to learn how to do what I do even better. But to get started, here is how I get my skits together. The first thing I do is I think in my mind what the scene is that I'm trying to set, okay? So this is the skit that used Daz, and the scene I wanted was the dark, evil kind of citadel of Black Ulm. So all of the sprites that I use, by the way, are from the game Dominions 4. If you go to the Dominions 4 forums, one of the posts is a link to a zip file that contains all of the sprites used in the game. And that includes these kind of little tchotchke objects. These are all items from the game. This is a cauldron, which provides food to your troops. This is a piece of armor. I forget the name of it, but it's like a bone piece of armor. And these little skulls here, I think might be Caricator the Pocket Lich or some artifact. But I figured they would add some nice ambiance lying around on the floor. The background in this case, normally I use a background from a screenshot of the game itself, the battle screen mostly, but what I did this time around, since this was going to be indoors, is I found a pattern. And what I did was I created a layer, here it's called background, where I simply took the fill tool and I filled with the pattern. Obviously it's not this pattern, but it was another pattern to get the floor, and I was pretty happy with that. But then I had to create kind of a sense of darkness. I wanted a sense of imposing darkness, but light at the middle, because this Bane drinker here, Daz, is creating Bane fire. And so he should have a kind of an eerie glow about him. So the way I managed that is I created another layer that I called Shadow. And it is a transparent layer that I basically created a gradient using the gradient tool that goes from the transparent background to black. And then I moved all the sprites, because each sprite here has a separate layer so that I can animate them and move them around. And I moved the ones that were going to be in the background, these two guys and the items, behind or underneath the shadow layer. As you can see, they get darker as a result. Now, Daz is the exception. He is actually on top of the shadow layer so that he's always in the light. And so how do I make the animations? Well, for example, let's say this is one spot of the scene. Well, at this point, I will go and I will export this as a PNG image, which will then go into the video. So to create the movement, I find the sprite I want to move. In this case, the commander is gone, but I can bring him back. See, there's the commander. He's here, he's gone. But in this case, say I want to move the lieutenant, right? I want the lieutenant to move in a certain direction. I just click his layer, and I pull up the Move tool, and I click on him, and I shift click to the, in this case, to the left. 1, 2. Okay, so now he's taken a step to the left, and I can export another PNG file. Now let's say instead I want to turn him around. Well, I can't necessarily just flip him horizontally because then his feet won't match. So what I do is I create a copy. I think it's down here. This isn't the copy actually, but then there's Real Lieutenant. And I move him such that his feet are exactly in the same place. So that's how I do a switch. I start with my one that I have, and then I open the other guy and close. Oops. And where's the other lieutenant? Yeah, there's Lieutenant Copy. Oh, there we go. Okay, so boom, 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 boom. That's how they turn around. And of course, I move them as I said. The only other digital effect, I laugh because it's such amateur work, but that I used in this particular skit was I had Daz here disintegrate the commander. And the way I did that, first of all, was I have two versions of Daz, the Bane Drinker. I have the regular version, and then I have the battle version. It's hard to really see, but if you go from one to the other really quick, it's his little battle animation. So that's how I handled that part. But in order to get the commander to fade out as I did, is I basically selected him, and I used the Magic Wand tool, and then I went to select Invert so that I have him as my selection. And then I found the color that I wanted to use. In this case, it was, let's say, dark green. And I use my Fill tool, and the important point here is fill whole selection, and I filled him. And then I went to select Shrink, pulling up this tool, shrank him by 2 pixels, and then I chose my second color, a lighter green, and did the exact same thing. Got the Fill tool, filled him. Alright, so that was one of them. And then I did 3 of these. One where it was dark green, light green, one where it was black, dark green, and one where it was light green, black, to kind of create a wave. And I just kept having those images export over and over and over again. Well, I exported them once each, but then I had them in my actual video go one right after the other really quickly, so it looked like he was kind of flashing and the colors were waving inside of him. So that is how I did that, and that's how I created this particular skit. Now here you can see where I actually put the videos together using Sony Movie Studio, and this doesn't really look great in 720p. I usually have it full screen on my 1900 by 1200 monitor, so it's kind of squishy here, but essentially I can kind of see if I can shrink everything here. Yep. Essentially, and this is why, in case some of you are ever wondering, why does Marcus take so long to put these videos out? It's because I do a lot of stuff, okay? Let me just explain this real quick. This is the actual video from the game. This is the actual audio from the game. These little blue lines here are volume lines. I can make them go away if I want to. Then underneath here is my vocals. And this is a audio file that I've already edited in Audacity. So I took out the original vocals and replaced them with this. And then, because this is a skit episode, I have a number of skit audio, what do they call, I guess, layers or tracks. There we go. Skit audio tracks. So, you know, you've got Daz's voice in here, you've got my voice, you've got the crazy sound effects that I use. They're all taking up different tracks so that I can kind of mix them all and make sure they all work. And if I'm lucky, the end result, I know this looks like pure chaos, but the end result is a video that hopefully is enjoyable to watch. So for example, let's go to the beginning here. So we could, for example, take a look and hopefully it'll come out pretty good. And as you can see, this was a separate layer. The text was the top layer. And there we go. We got the fade in. We got the guys walking over.
My lord, you have
We got the voices coming out.
Indeed.
And so on and so forth. And that, though it looks like one video, is actually a combination of like 6 or 7 different, let's zoom in a bit, different tracks. So for example, well, I got rid of the preview, but so you could see how this is one, and then this is the part where we'll zoom in. This is the part where the commander gets magically assaulted by Daz. Or Daz. Oh, no, that's not actually. That's him walking away. This is the part. Okay. So if you zoom in real close here, you can see how each of these little things here is a different frame. And that's how I created that effect. And then you've got, as you scroll down a little bit further here, you've got the different, this is the background music noise, the do, 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 do. And then this is the magical spell noise, and so on and so forth. So yeah, not that anyone ever wanted to know, but I just thought it'd be kind of fun to put this together and show those of you who might be interested in knowing how does Marcus put together his admittedly very amateur dominions for skits. So regardless, I hope that you enjoyed watching this, and I hope it was interesting for you. Once again, I am Marcus Aurelius. I'd like to thank you very much for watching. Have a good one.